my name's Ryan. And today we're gonna get down and dirty with some snatch triples. Here we go. Went ahead and already warmed up. Took the dog for a walk. Did a few plyometrics. Got limbered up. We're ready to go. Let's send this one more time and then we'll be on our way. All right, snatch triples on the menu today. I'm gonna do 3 sets of 3. And triples in the snatch are one of the hardest prescriptions I've ever done. The snatch is already so technical, and if you combine a decent amount of weight with that technique aspect, it really almost becomes a whole nother animal. In terms of focus, dedication, and grit. All right, another warm-up set here. We're gonna work our way slowly up, getting really back into snatching form. So I think this is like my 3rd week in a row. Doing snatches. It's coming back shortly but slowly. And I just want to be crisp today, man. I want to be extremely crisp. All right, went up 20 pounds here. So what is this, like 174? Snatching, you're gonna feel, particularly if you're more inexperienced, you're going to feel the magnitude of the weight more with each ensuing warm-up set, right? So 20 pounds and a warm-up set for a squat, you might not even feel the difference, but in the snatch, it might feel like going from your driver to your sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not that much, but hey, you get the idea, huh? Tuck time! Normally I don't do this so soon. Kind of save it, but with snatching, you gotta start the tuck early. Be locked in, stay locked in, you feel me? You don't want your tuck to be so tucked that you're like making a V-neck, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you don't want it to be so loose that you have a ton of overhang. You gotta find that happy medium. And if anything, lean more towards the tuck. Tuck never hurt anyone. Al dente. We're gonna add 10 pounds and that'll put us at 218. That'll be our last warm-up set before we start our working set. All right, before we get absolutely locked in after this last warm-up set, because then it's go time, let's get the thought of the day out of the way. From an experiential standpoint, and probably even a physiological one, like if you were to measure the fatigue per rep of Olympic lift versus really any other exercise, I would bet that the Olympic lifts generate more fatigue through whatever mechanisms are causing fatigue in such an acute standpoint than anything else. And here is why that's useful from a practical standpoint. If you are trying to get better at the Olympic lifts and you are somewhat inexperienced to the point where you might have the strength for heavier weights, but your technique just hasn't caught up to your strength yet, doing sets of 3-ish reps might be beneficial because that acute fatigue you're generating is going to allow that 3rd rep to feel like a much heavier rep than it otherwise would be, right? So although you might be doing a set of 3 with 85% say of your 1 rep max, that last rep is going to feel like a 90% plus snatch, maybe, and that is useful in that it gets you familiar with snatching underneath that feel. Now there's no comparison in terms of like doing a 95% snatch and doing an 85% snatch on that third rep and having those be like similar from a psychological point, right? Like those are still very, very different lifts, but it's at least the same territory. And it's a good way to dip your toes in the water, you know, as you gain more experience. Enough yapping, let's lift some weights. Just a little freaking doinky here. First set, let's get the mind right. Anytime I try to get the mind right, I think of Kevin Costner in For Love of the Game. Great movie.
Clear the mechanism. Hello, Mike.
So piggybacking off of that acute fatigue standpoint and how by the time you get to that third rep, you're fatigued enough to where the internal environment is different enough such that you're going to have to feel that efficiency so much more because you won't be able to produce as much force as that first rep, at least in theory, right? I don't want that acute fatigue from this set to carry over into the next one when my ultimate goal is to do each set as well as I can. So I'm gonna give this plenty of rest. Say probably max 4 minutes, maybe getting into 5. I'm not so sure on the exact number here, but I want to say that that phosphocreatine system is nearly resynthesized within like 5 to 8 minutes. So I want to make sure that that's pretty much good to go, and you know, we'll keep it rolling. So I never play any music in the background just because I don't even want to like deal with anything copyright. But I wish that I could be playing a little bit of Wayman Tisdale in the background right now. You know, you think with snatching, if you're really getting after it, that you need like heavy, hard music. No, man, try a little smooth jazz, something to control the soul a little bit, if you will. Yes, you need aggression, but you need aggression in the right manner, and boy, oh boy, does Wayman Tisdale teach you how to do that. Yep, come on. Oh. Man, come on, clean it up. Snatching is such a unique experience, and although it's similar to many things, it's also different from many things. And I find that the more ownership you take before you get to the barbell in terms of if you're going to do your set or not well is completely up to you. There's no excuse. Either in the moment you're ready to do it or not. Let's not hang our heads there. We give it the old college try. Move on to some close grip bench press. Something else I've done just to make each session a little more tolerable is generally in the past on Mondays and Fridays after an Olympic lift, I would do like a squat or a hinge, but I am now superseding that with a pull or a press. And I'm only going to squat and hinge on Wednesdays, and just make each session a little more digestible. And like already my perspective towards each session is such that, like, you know, my entire day doesn't have to revolve around it. I don't have to like mentally prepare for this long, arduous session. I know I can get through it, and I know I'm going to have a good time doing it. And so if we're talking about stress management, you know, stress is not only a physiological response, we respond to stress psychologically as well. And I want to feel good about my training, so I'm going to make my training, I'm going to structure it in such a way that I can feel good about it, and I'm excited to do it, not dreading it. First set of 6. Second set. There's just a final note on all of this acute fatigue and how we're perceiving it. Another thing I want my sessions to be are stimulating enough to the point where if I accumulate enough of them over time, I'm gonna get better. You know, at the very least maintain, but also, like, how am I feeling right after my session? Do I really want to torch myself to the point where, you know, the rest of my night is ruined? You know, and I can barely think because I'm so exhausted? Not really. Training is a stress. Probably should respect that a little bit more. Alright, I'm going to fly through the rest of this so I can get done. It's something that John talks about in Before You Go, and that's the majority of our workouts should be reasonable, right? They shouldn't be asking so much of you that everything immediately following your workout and thereafter is going to be suffering. There's times where you can absolutely push it more in your training, and we should be introspective enough to be able to match that season of training with a season of life where we are able to actually handle that. But I think for most of us working full-time jobs with a lot of responsibility outside of that, don't annihilate, stimulate, and keep the train rolling. Training is fun.